Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is JoJo Kaiser here. I'm back with another storytime video for you guys today. Hopefully, you all are having yourselves a fantastic day. I know I am. And today's storytime, not gonna lie, it's it's a little bit interesting because I'm gonna tell you guys a story about how one of my friend's moms like literally went to school to try and beat me up because of a misunderstanding. So yeah, that's a pretty interesting story that I'm pretty sure a lot of you will enjoy in some way, shape, or form. And yeah, without further ado, I hope you all are having yourselves a wonderful day. And let's get on with today's story time. Three, two, one. I hope my laptop doesn't get hacked again. Okay, let's go. So today's story time takes place back in 10th grade, and you know the basic routine that any teenager does when they're in 10th grade during the morning time. They get up, brush their teeth, take a shower, put on stuff, go to school. You know the basic things that any teenager does. I don't have to explain all that detail to you. And in terms of school today for this particular story, not gonna lie, nothing really interesting happened, in all honesty, in terms of school. But one particular piece of detail that I have to tell you guys in terms of school is that I have a friend who, for the sake of the story time, I'm gonna call her Jessica. So Jessica was like a really cool friend of mine. Like she was very, very nice. She was respectful. She didn't like do anything bad. You know, she was a really good friend. And she recently broke up with somebody who, for the sake of the story, has the exact same first name as me, but he has a completely different last name as me. And that piece of detail is very important for later on in the story, and you're about to hear why. So long story short, school ends, I go home, I start playing video games and do homework and stuff like that, and then I decided to go on Twitter to like talk to my friends and stuff like that. So anyways, right, I'm on Twitter, I'm talking to some of my friends, and one of those friends in particular was actually Jessica. And like I just said before, Jessica broke up with one of my other friends who I'm still friends with to this day, who has the exact same first name as me, you know, a few days prior to this particular story time. So obviously, she was not really in a good mood, which makes sense because, you know, whenever someone breaks up with somebody, it's pretty obvious that you guys are not going to be in a really good state of mind. You guys are going to be like in a really, really bad mood and stuff like that. Which makes sense. I'm pretty sure a lot of people can agree to stuff like that. Like, nobody wakes up one day being like, wow, I can't wait to break up with somebody and continue to have a really wonderful day. It's gonna be so fantastic. Obviously, no, that makes absolutely no sense. Like, that never happens, at least as far as I know of. So anyways, right, she's obviously not really in a good mood, but she's trying her best. And you know, me being the really good friend that I am to her, I say to Jessica, look, like things are gonna be completely okay. I'm not an expert when it comes to like relationship issues, but I guarantee you things are gonna be completely okay. Like I'm here for you. If you want me to get you like lunch tomorrow at school, I'll have no problem with that. Like you can always talk to me and stuff like that. And you know, I'm just being a good friend trying to, you know, make sure that she's okay. And, you know, she's slowly but surely like feeling a little bit better and stuff like that. You know, things are completely okay. I'm just being a good friend, you know, A plus material friend right here. So anyways, right? We stop tweeting with each other. I go to bed, hoping to have a really wonderful day tomorrow. And then, like, no joke, like an hour after I go to bed, I receive a random DM, not on Twitter, but on Instagram, from this newly made account. I mean, by this random person tweeting me, right? Well, not tweeting me, but like, you know, sending me a message. Like, you guys know what Instagram is at this point, which, by the way, if you guys want to follow me on, you know, Instagram and Twitter and stuff like that, the links will be down in the description below if you guys want to check that out, you know. So anyways, right, I receive a random DM on Instagram from this newly made account, and I come to find out it's from Jessica's mom. And the reason how I know this is because in the DM, Jessica's mom proceeds to tweet out an entire paragraph about how I'm a complete scumbag and I had no right to break up with her daughter and that her daughter is one of the nicest people on the planet and et cetera, and that I can't believe how much of a scumbag that you are. You know, she's saying stuff like this. And then, in like the last sentence of the tweet, it literally says word for word, you better not come into school tomorrow, because if I see you, it's going to be on site. And you know, I'm reading this message being like, wait, what? And before I get a chance to like tweet anything back to her, she just blocks me on Instagram. So now I'm like, wait, what? Did I honestly get a message from Jessica's mom saying that she was basically going to threaten to beat me up at school tomorrow? Like, what? And keep in mind, like, she has the wrong person who has the exact same first name as me, who, again, I'm still friends with. So I'm like, wait, what? So anyways, right? I go back to bed, then the morning comes, the next day comes, I do my daily morning routine, I go to school, and then fast forward to, I believe, fourth period, like the beginning of fourth period, before class starts. I walk up to Jessica and I say to Jessica, "Hey, Jessica, your mom sent me a weird DM on Instagram basically threatening to beat me up today. What's going on with that?" And Jessica's like, "Wait, hold on. What are you talking about?" And I show it to Jessica being like, "Look, like your mom sent me this, message." And so Jessica's reading it and her eyes go completely white. And then she looks back at me and says, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, like your mom said all of those things to me and is planning to beat me up today. Um, like why?" And then she's like, "Oh my god, I am so sorry about this. I don't know why she's acting like this. Like this is completely out of character for her." So I ask her, I'm like, "Okay, like what happened?" So Jessica proceeds to tell me that, last night after we stopped talking, she started to cry a little bit because, she was still going through the breakup phase, right? And as she was crying, her mother walked into her room and then asked her if she was okay. And then Jessica says, "Yeah, I'm fine. It's just that I recently broke up with somebody." And then, Jessica's mother says, "Wait, with who?" And she says the name, which again has the exact same first name as me, but a completely different last name. And she just automatically assumed it's like, "Oh my god, who is this boy? Why would they break up with you? I'm gonna get them." And then Jessica's like, "No, mom, it's fine. Like, it was a mutual thing. We both decided to break up. Like, I don't hate him. It's fine." And she's like, "All right, fine." And then she just walks away. And I'm assuming what happened is that after she walked away, she went on Instagram to see whether or not there was someone on Instagram, and that's how I got the message, because she sent me that message being like, "You know what, I'm gonna threaten you, I'm gonna beat you up, blah 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 blah," doing all this stuff, right? But keep in mind, she has the wrong person that has the exact same first name as me, which again is an important detail for later, and you're about to hear why. So anyways, right, Jessica's telling me all this, and I'm like, "Okay, did you try to tell your mom that I'm not the one that broke up with you?" And Jessica's like, "Yeah, I tried to, but she wouldn't listen to me." She was like very, very pissed off. I was like, "Okay, why would you wait until now to tell your mom that, you broke up with one of my friends who has the exact same first name as me?" And she was like, "Well, I mean, I was still like upset, just very, very angry and pissed off about the whole situation. And I just wanted like a few days to like relax and chill and stuff like that." I was like, "Okay, I mean, I guess that makes sense when you go through a breakup, but I feel like you should have told her like who specifically like you broke up with, because there's a good chance that she might actually come into school to try and like beat me up for assuming that I was the one that broke up with you." And then Jessica was like, "No, there's no way that she's gonna do that. Like she's not that type of mother. She's never done stuff like that before. You're fine." And I believed her, because like there was no way that this random lady who happens to be a mother is gonna come into school to beat up somebody over a misunderstanding. Like there's no way that's gonna happen, right? Well, clearly that's not the case, because if that was the case, I wouldn't be making a story time today. So anyways, right, in comes lunch period. I go to the lunchroom, I get my lunch, I sit down with my friends and we're talking and, stuff like that, right? And then like 20 minutes before the lunch period is pretty much over with, I hear this loud banging coming from like the main doorway of the lunchroom, and like through the little door window, I see this very, very angry and buff lady pounding on the door. And look, when I tell you that this lady was buff, I mean she's buff as in muscles. Like it looks as though she has muscles on top of muscles. Like that's how buff she looked. Which, to be honest, is a little bit scary, because you never know whether or not something might happen with a buff lady that looks like she wants to like break someone's kneecaps. So anyways, right, this lady then proceeds to burst open the door with her entire foot. Like she kicks the door open so hard to the point where the door bounces off of like the wall and tries to close again, but then she just kicks it again. And I'm like, "Oh my god. Like there's no way that I know this lady, right? There's no way that I know who this lady is, right?" But yeah, you'd be wrong, because she then says, "So which one of you decided to break up with my daughter last night? I want to find out who the scumbag is." And yeah, I just choose not to say anything, because at that point I was like, "Oh my god, it's Jessica's mom. Like she literally came into school to try and start problems. Like what?" So then she's walking around the entire lunchroom asking a bunch of other students, like, "Who's so and so?" And, she says my first name. And I'm like, oh my God, just please, please don't look at me. Please don't come up to me in some way, shape, or form. And then this random kid from the opposite side of the lunchroom, who I don't even know, literally stands up, points his finger at me, and says, "That's him. Now can you stop bothering us?" And I look at this kid with like a face that's with a mixture of like complete shock and anger. And I'm like, dude, what the frick are you doing? Like, this lady is literally about to turn me into a pretzel. You couldn't have just kept your mouth shut? And so this lady turns to me, right? And she looks very, very pissed off. She literally storms over to me. And so she's like inches away from my face, right? I happen to stand up because I figured that she was going to do something. So I stand up. She walks over to me and says, "You have the audacity to break up with my daughter? What's wrong with you? I can literally bend the ever living crap out of you." And she looked like she could. She looked like she could literally turn me into a pretzel if she wanted to. Like, that's how buff and scary she looked. And I'm like, look, whatever like your daughter said is completely wrong. Like, I'm not her boyfriend. Like, I never dated her in any way, shape, or form. And then she says, "Oh, really? Is your name not?" And she says my first name, right? Which, again, I have a friend who previously broke up with Jessica, who had the exact same first name as me. And then she says the last name, which was not my last name. So I'm like, no, that's not my name. I say my name is, and I say my first name, and then I say my second name. And she's like, "Oh, so now you want to lie because you don't want to deal with the fact that you broke up with my daughter? Wow, what a complete scumbag you are. No wonder my daughter dumped you." And I'm like, "Look, I'm telling you the truth." And I pull out my wallet to show her my ID. And I'm like, "Look, that's my name. Like, this is my full name." And then she goes completely wide-eyed, right? Because she knew that she had the wrong person, right? So after like a few seconds of me literally standing against this female version of Hulk over here, she then says, "Oh, do you happen to know who so and so is?" And I was like, "Look, I'm not gonna help you. Like, I'm not gonna rat out my friend like that. Like, no, no. I think it's best for you to just leave." And so she backs up and she gives me like some kind of death glare because I wouldn't help her. And then she says, "You know what? Whatever." And then literally storms out of the building. Like, literally leaves the entire building just like that. And I come to find out that she wasn't even allowed to like be in the building in the first place. She wasn't allowed inside during this particular time. So she literally like broke into private property to try and beat up like a teenager over a misunderstanding. Like, that was her intention this entire time, which yeah, that's bad. Like, you shouldn't do stuff like that. So anyways, right, in comes like the last period of the school day. I'm in class, just, paying attention, writing notes and stuff like that. And then there's a random intercom that says, "Hey, Jojo Kaiser, come into the main office. Jojo Kaiser, come into the main office." I'm like, oh my God. I really hope it's not the situation with my friend's mom. And I really wish I could have just kept my mouth shut because I jinxed it. So it is, right? I come into the main office and sitting there is Jessica, one of my other friends who has the exact same first name as me, and Jessica's mother sitting in the principal's office. And so I walk in, and the principal is like, "Look, what happened in lunch?" And, I tell the principal, like, my friend's mom literally came in to try and beat me up for, a misunderstanding on her part. So then the principal asked Jessica's mother if this was true, and then Jessica turns to me and says, "I'm so sorry that I did that to you. That was so wrong. I should have never done that." And I'm like, "Look, like, I understand being upset that your daughter, recently broke up with someone, and, you're upset at that particular person that broke up with her, but you can't just go into private property to try and threaten a teenager. Like, no, that's not cool." And Jessica's mother was like, "Yeah, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do that." Right. And so I turned to my friend, who has the exact same first name as me, but a completely different last name. I'm like, "Are you okay? Like, did she try to do anything to you?" And my friend is like, "No, not really. Like, she was obviously upset, but, after I told her my side of the story and after I said that we both mutually broke up, like, she just completely calmed down." And so the principal turns over to Jessica's mother and is like, "Look, like, you can't do that. Like, first of all, you didn't even have permission to, like, go through the main building. Like, you literally went past the security guards to try and, threaten somebody. That's not cool. So, unfortunately, you can't come back to, this building anymore. And if we see you on private property, we're going to call the cops on you." She basically got, trespassed from, like, the main building of the school, and she can no longer come back. And yeah, that's pretty much the end of the story about how a mother who looks like she's on complete roid tried to threaten to beat me up. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I come to find out later on that she was officially trespassed. Jessica said that her mother wants to like apologize again for how she acted. Now she's very very sorry, and I was like, sure, no problem. And yeah, that was pretty much it. I never saw Jessica's mother pretty much ever again. I hope we all enjoyed this story time. I mean, I kind of did, but it was still very very scary. Moral of the story is, don't trespass in school properties to like threaten to beat someone up that your daughter broke up with. Like, that's not cool. If you like the video, I highly recommend liking and subscribing to the channel for more of my dumb content in the future. A link to all my social media pages will be down in the description below. Make sure you stay sexy and wear a condom. Oh, peace!